Hello everybody and welcome to Storm Reads, and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read the week of the 5th through the 11th. I read 5 books, so I think I did fairly well. And so the first book I'm going to talk about is Ghost Girl by Ali Malinico, I think is how you say that. I'm probably butchering it. But this one is about Z, and she loves to tell stories. She's always making up stories. She takes stories that she's read and she puts her own spin on them a lot of times. And spooky stories is one of her favorite kind of things to do. But now it's her life is a spooky story because one day the principal is gone and they get this new principal. And she's like, something is not right with this principal. And she soon realizes that the whole town seems to really be in like love with this principal and thinks the principal can't do any wrong, but she's pretty sure that there's something sinister going on. And she finds out that she can speak to ghosts, and it's something that, you know, if you tell somebody, they're gonna laugh it off because she tells so many stories. Even her friend isn't really quite sure about it at first. Her sister, she was afraid to tell her, but then when she does, the sister realizes that she's got the ability that her mother had. And her mother passed away when she was, either when she was born or when she was a baby. I can't exactly remember. But, so she's never knew that about her mother. And so she finds out that, you know, there's all this stuff going on, and her and friends have to try to figure out what's going on. Now, one of her new friends that she acquires in this was a bully to her at the beginning. So there's a really good story about sometimes you don't know the situation that somebody is going through. And that's what she finds out about this one girl whose name I cannot remember. But she realizes that something strange is going on too. And even though she's the one that gave her the moniker of Ghost Girl, you know, this time it's really true because she can actually see ghosts and everything. And they become, you know, pretty good friends and everything. So don't judge somebody by the way they act, because she finds out that that girl has kind of a hard life at home. Her mother's not very nice and things like that. So it does have a good lesson to be learned and a good story. And I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. So the next book I have is Cat's Got Your Crown by Julie Chase. This is the last book in the Kitty Couture series. It's number 4. And this also marks another one off my series about series challenge. This is about Lacey, and in this one, she is she owns a pet boutique, and so she makes like signature clothing and things like that for your pet. And she also makes organic foods for them and stuff like snacks, stuff like that. And this time there is the National Pet Pageant that is coming to town. And so she's very busy with that. Got some of the local pet owners that are wanting her to make, you know, outfits for their pets and things like that. And then something happens and one of the judges is killed, and her mother is really in kind of a panic because she likes things like so and neat and everything. And her and Lacey could be like, they're like night and day. And her mother is all like southern and dignified, where Lacey isn't. And so it's kind of funny sometimes. And so, of course, Lacey's got to try to figure out what happened. And she ends up having to be a judge for the competition. So she's got a lot on her plate. And she also is dealing with her feelings for somebody that is, that, you know, are they going to be kind of a couple or they aren't going to be a couple. It's kind of how that goes in most cozies and everything. And it was really good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a decent end to a series. I do think it could have went a little longer, but it wrapped up just fine. With it being the last one, because at least you do get like the relationship thing worked out, so I think that's okay. I gave it 4 stars. I did enjoy it. Then I have Double or Muffin, and I listened to this one. It's by Victoria Hamilton, and it's number 7, I believe, in the Mary Muffin series. And this catches me up on this series, so that's another one I can kind of check off on my series about series, because I did get caught up on the series. This one came out this year, so I don't know if there's going to be another one next year or not. So at least I'm caught up. And this one, It was okay, but I don't know if it suffers from the fact that I kind of binge read them and I just kind of got tired of the series. I don't know. Or it's just what's in the series, because this book has a reality TV show about opera singers. It just wasn't my thing. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't like horrible, but I think by the middle of the book, I was just kind of tired of the opera singer drama and the things going on. And we do have a murder, and Mary is not happy that Pish let them come here and do this in her winter castle and things like that. And she knew that stuff like this was going to happen, all this drama, and she's got to try to, keep things together and try to solve the mystery and do all this stuff. And yeah, it had a lot kind of going on, and I'm not a big fan of reality TV, and I think this is like the third or fourth cozy mystery that I have read lately that has had some kind of reality TV kind of competition, and I think I just had enough. So it could just be me, but I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. I think I'm just done with reality TV cozy mysteries. And maybe I need to lay off this series for a while, so I'm glad I got caught up, so I won't have to worry about trying to catch it up. The next one I have is the Cider Shop Rules by Julie Ann Lindsay, and this is the 3rd book in the Cider Shop Mysteries. I believe that's what it's called. And this one was super cute. I really enjoyed this one. And it's very fallish, and it mentions Thanksgiving because I think it's around Thanksgiving. It has a few mentions of Christmas, but if you're looking for fall books, this whole series is really super fallish. If you look at the covers, they just scream fall. So in this one, they're having the fall festival. It's in full swing. There's Civil War reenactors. There's all these kind of things going on, and Winnie's cider shop is booming, and she is out visiting the pumpkin farm, and I can't remember the pumpkin farmer's name. Something Potter. Anyway, she's there. I think she was getting some pumpkins. I can't remember. I never can remember things after it's been a couple of days since I read them. But when she gets in her truck and she starts home, I believe, and then she finds out there's Mr. Potter is in the back of her truck, and there was a tarp over him, so she didn't see it. But she moves it, and there he is, his body, he's dead. And so she has to call Colton, and Colton is the detective that she kind of has a crush on, but she's not really quite sure how he feels about her because he's really kind of standoffish. So it was kind of fun because in this one, while they're at the festival, she meets this guy Blake, and he's kind of good looking too. And her friend puts his telephone number in her phone, because she gets the phone number and puts it under, I think, Tall, Dark, and Hunky, I think. And Colton sees that, and he gets like kind of upset when he sees that, especially whenever he finds out that that phone number belongs to his brother. So yeah, Blake is his brother. So basically it's like Blake, they've heard about Winnie from Colton, but he's really tight-lipped on things. He doesn't really put his emotions out or talk about, people much. And so he's kind of there just to kind of check her out or whatever. And if he can get a rise out of Colton too, then he kind of likes that too. So yeah, but there's also an overreaching kind of arc from, I don't know if it was in book 1, but I know it's in book 2, about this guy that is after Colton, and he's afraid that he might try to do something to Winnie to get back at him, because I think he put him in jail or something like that. And so there's that. So he's really worried about that because he is in town. They know he is from the last book, and they know he knows who Winnie is to him and everything. So his brother got his brother there to back him up, but he also doesn't like his brother being there to cause kind of, mischief, I guess, with him and Winnie and things like that. Blake invites Winnie to their parents' house to meet the parents, and that really gets him really good. So it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It had a good mystery. I did not guess the killer at the end. I really was going in a different way. Kind of felt bad whenever I found out who it was. It was one of those that you're like, oh, or whatever. But yeah, it was just super cute. I liked it. I'm trying not to say a whole lot about it in case I know some of the people in the Killing Time with Cozies are really wanting to read this series, so I don't want to spoil too much. But yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was cute. Then the next book I have is All the Devils Are Here by Louise Penny. It's number 16 in the Chief Inspector Gamache series. And this series, I will admit, has gone downhill a bit for me since number 8. After the end of number 8, the beginning of number 9, I just wasn't as big a fan of it as I used to be. I didn't like the direction the author decided to take Chief Inspector Gamache. And, so that's just me and my preference. I know a lot of people still thoroughly enjoy this series, but I do like it, just maybe not quite as much as I used to. So it seems like off and on, like I might really like one and not like the next one. So it kind of goes that way. Well, this one is set in Paris, and Stephen, who is the guy that raised Gamache, raised him up after his parents died. He has invited him to Paris and pretty much his family to Paris. So David is there, and Annie and all of them, they're all there in Paris. And while they were walking out of a dinner, a car comes by and runs over Stephen, and he's alive, but he's in a coma, and they're having to figure out what happened. Was it really just a hit and run accident, or was somebody trying to gun him down? And the more Gamache looks into things, he finds out there are some bad things going on, but he has no jurisdiction there, and the police there evidently are not big fan of the police in Quebec. So I guess it's maybe a French thing that they're not big fans of the Quebec police. So he has a little bit of a hard time trying to get in there and figure out what's going on and getting them to open up to him and work with him on trying to figure things out. And he also is having a hard time with his son, is it Daniel or David? For some reason, I think it's David. Anyway, I guess because of some of the things he heard when he was a child, and he's grew up with this perception of his father and his work, and it's always put kind of a bridge between them. And then the more he saw him like his, what do you call him? Assistant, or like the guy under him, his partner, kind of. I'm trying to think of his name, and all of a sudden I can't remember his name. Jean something. I am never good with names. I cannot remember names. But anyway, he sees how their connection is really good, and it's almost like he is more of a father to him than he is to David, and so there's that big bridge. So there was a lot of mending fences in this one, and a lot of speaking your mind about certain things, and because Gamache always wondered why he backed off from him, his son, and stuff. So it's kind of given him an opportunity to try to piece things together and try to figure out what happened to Stephen, and they're all having to work together. His son actually is involved in some of the stuff because he did some dealings with Stephen. He worked for Stephen because I think he's a banker. And so, I mean, he is kind of thrown into it, and the police are suspicious of him at certain times, and Gamache is trying to save his son and trying to figure out all these things. There's a lot going on, and I am nowhere near explaining it very well, but I did enjoy this one. And maybe it's because it's a different setting, and you finally kind of get why his son doesn't like him so much. You kind of get all these things, and Gamache, I like the way he's acting in this one. He's acting more like a chief inspector instead of the retired man that he is, kind of, and I don't know. So, it's just, I enjoy this one more, and so I gave it 4 stars. So, I did like this one better than some of the other ones, but like I said, it's a series I'll continue to read. It's just not my favorite anymore. So, but that's the last book that I read. And so, on to books that I'm currently reading. So I am in the middle of Murder at the Murder at the Royal Botanic Gardens by Andrea Penrose. I am about 40% into this one, and I am really enjoying it. I like a lot of the stuff that's happening. I feel like if I talk too much about some of the stuff that's happening, it might spoil people who like to follow what's happening with the 2 main characters in the story. In the first one, Earl of Rexford, he meets Sloane, which Charlotte, she went by AJ Sloane. He thought that person was a man, finds out it's a woman, and they end up investigating a lot of things together, and they've been getting closer and closer together. But she lives as not like a lady, even though she was born a lady. But she married under her, and her parents kind of cut her off, and so she married an artist. And so she has been living as a widow because he has passed on for a while in this little kind of shack, and she's fine with what she does. She makes a living off of her satirical art that she does. She has kind of adopted a couple of little rugrats that are actually help her with her art because they're out and about all the time. They're street rats, and they find things that are happening, and they report back, and then she makes a drawing of it and she sells it. And in the first one, she makes a drawing that suggests that Rexford has murdered somebody, and so he's on the warpath wanting to find out who she is, and then he ends up she ends up helping him solve the mystery to get him off of being a suspect because of the pictures that she drew or whatever. And so, yeah. So it's a lot of fun. And in this one, there is a lot of things happening with their personal life, and so I don't want to really spoil anything, but there is also a murder that happens at the beginning, and Rexford and Sloane get kind of brought into it whether they wanted to or not. They were really hoping to not get involved in any more murders, but they get kind of into this one, and it's one of those things that it's on their minds and everything, so they just can't let it go. They tried to let it go and try to let the Bow Street Runner guy deal with it. They trust him. He's really good at his job. They just thought, well, I'll just get some information and kind of pass it on to him, but before you know, they're like wrapped up in trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm really curious to see who the killer is. I have suspicions, but in this one, it's really hard because there's a lot of people that can be suspicious. It's about a new medicine that could be made out of a plant. It's about, so, you know, the Botanic Garden, so it's about botany and stuff. And this guy who had, he thought he had a new medicine that could really help people, but some other people wanted to keep it and make money off of it, and he wants to give it to people because that's just how he was. And so he ends up being the murder victim. And so, yeah, I always learn something because, like, I don't know anything about flowers, but it's always kind of fun to learn about, like, the historical aspects of medicines and things like that. It's kind of fun. And so, yeah, I'm super enjoying this one. And another one that I am working on is Stabbed in the Baklava by Tina Kashian. I am reading this one on Hoopla, as that's like the only way I could find it. This is the series read-along that the Killing Time with Cozies is doing. This is number 2 in the Kebab Kitchen series. And I am, I don't know, on chapter 5. I'm not real far into it. We've already had the murder, and we're kind of, we're with the Lucy Lacey thing again. I think it's Lucy. Yeah. Lucy is the main character, and she has taken over her parents' shop. And okay, in this one, it's about Lucy and her taking over her parents' Mediterranean restaurant, and they're kind of retired but work part-time. In the beginning of this one, there's some kind of famous actress, and she's wanting to get married there, and she's wanting them to cater a wedding. This is the first big chance for Lucy with the restaurant and everything. They need everything to go so well, and things don't go so well because then the best man ends up died. The best man ends up dead and in the back of their catering van with a skewer in his neck. So Azad, her ex-boyfriend, who is the head cook at the restaurant, has had words with this guy, and they weren't very nice, and so of course he's going to be a suspect. And then there was another lady who Lucy saw have words with him and everything. So he seems like, I think he's a banker, so he could have plenty of people who want him dead because, you know, bankers. But anyway, yeah. So that's about how far I've gotten so far. It's okay. It's not, I don't think it's ever going to be a favorite cozy, but it's okay so far. I'm also listening to Spy School Secret Service by Stuart Gibbs, and it's number 5, I believe, in the Spy School series. And so I'm almost done with it. I think I have less than 3 hours to listen to it, and it's pretty good. It's a quirky middle grade spy kind of spoof. And in this one, Ben was supposed to be trying to infiltrate and kind of get in good with the president's son because somebody's after the president, but things don't go quite according to plan. And he thought that the president's son wanted him to be there and welcomed him there, but it's not how it's going. And Spider, who is the evil organization, is also still after Ben. Something happens and he ends up where a bomb explodes in the presidential place, and he gets accused of being a traitor. So he's kind of on the run. He didn't do anything. He thinks Spider set him up somehow, and so he's having to try to figure out. So they've got to try to figure out what exactly happened and who set the bomb off so that he can clear his name. And only a couple of people are trying to help him do this and stuff, because even some of his fellow students and teachers and things like that think that he's a traitor now. So he's, you know, on the run. This hasn't been too bad. It's got its funny moments. I kind of really enjoy this series. It's just kind of a quirky middle grade and everything. And that's the things that I am currently reading, but I am going to have to bump one of them down probably and try to get this in, because this week is the subgenre September's mid-year March Mystery Madness, and it's to read a subgenre that you don't normally read. And so I'm going to be reading The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett, and so I'll be reading this week. And so hopefully I can get this in and then finish some of the books that I'm already currently reading. And if I get done with all the books that I have there, I'll be doing really good. So I have absolutely no idea what's going to be coming up next. Because I've got a lot of books I'm reading. So I got to try to get to. Oh, and I also need to try to get Enjoy the View by Sarah Morgenthaler finished this week. And I'm going to be listening to it on audiobook. And it's the book that me and my friend Barbara Buddy reading, but it'll be super easy. It's a romance on audio, so I'll be able to get that done. So I think that's everything that I have read or have going. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!